My name is Craig Walsh, and we're standing in my current installation, Embedded, which is at the Museum of Contemporary Art in Sydney. This project is fairly complex. It's an arrangement, a commission, which stems from Rio Tinto's agreement with the federal government to invest in recognising the importance of the rock art in the Pilbara. And it's an agreement with the MCA, so I'm co-commissioned by the MCA and Rio Tinto to carry out this project. Embedded really forms out of the original commission, but I guess it really embraces my response to that place, and I guess also in more general terms, it's about our relationship to landscape, and I guess the Pilbara is a place of extreme concentration between industry and cultural value. So, you know, this work is really a reflection, I guess, of my experience in the Pilbara, but recognising that it's actually a much broader issue, and that issue is about how we are all a part of this circumstance, and how mining is both important economically and also brings into question, you know, the idea of landscape in transition and, you know, as commodity. So landscape as commodity against land as cultural heritage is some of the themes I'm really trying to explore in the work. So the installation consists of 21 bins of iron ore. There's 2 moving image pieces, and then there's 6 photographic pieces. I guess one of the great challenges in doing a work, or a challenge, but also what's interesting, is to try and bring some site-based work which existed on the Burrup back to a gallery. And, you know, for quite a while now, I've really liked the idea of introducing earth back into the gallery. You know, I'm quite influenced by, you know, the great works of Walter de Maria, New York Earthroom, etc. But I really felt this sort of, rather than the reproduction of the environmental landscape or an impression or a rendering, is the idea just to bring it into the gallery. And I think also it's really important that we see that iron ore is a natural material. You know, I think most of us would have an association, probably numerical. It would be more common, you know, in shares, etc., as a commodity. I think the actual experience of actually being able to touch it and see what it actually looks like does relate it back to an understanding that it is earth and it is a natural form. So the idea was these bins, one, sort of provide that idea of landscape in transition, and, you know, even though the video works and the photographic works are impressions, they are recordings, it's this idea that the gallery can only really accommodate reality in this form. So, you know, the grid is quite important, the frame is quite important in this installation. The idea that landscape is restricted to the frame, and these images are restricted to frames as well, is sort of part of the process and recognition of the transition from public space or the found environment to the gallery itself. So I really wanted to create that sort of grid. I guess obviously, you know, linked to commerce, you know, practicality, packaging, etc., is all linked into, you know, how I'm treating or presenting landscape in this space. So, you know, there's the smell of the iron ore. There's a recording of cicadas, which are quite common at the time of the year that we were actually doing the recordings. So these are real-time recordings. All the video pieces and the photographs were taken at dusk, so they were taken at the same time on a series of days to pick up that impression between the landscape and the sky. And so this is very much the lighting, the design, everything is a sort of reflective of the time of day, the sort of environmental presence in that space, and to sort of recreate that in the gallery is it's not an attempt to recreate it, but it is an attempt to find a different way for an audience to access an artwork and experience an artwork and affect all the senses. I guess in understanding how this installation comes about and the various partners and the range of political and cultural agendas which, you know, play out, and economic agendas which play out in creating a work like this, sort of made me think about, you know, a term. I was really looking for a title which could, one, define this inseparable relationship that these people have with the landscape. So that was one of the leading roles. But also, you know, the idea that I've sort of made the choice to be embedded in this circumstance, which is, you know, a major industry, a major cultural institution, and also a major Aboriginal corporation. So you've got these sort of various parties that, you know, in a way the artist is being embedded in this circumstance and, you know, creating an impression and working out how to define a work which doesn't lean towards any particular political agenda. And I think that's the artist's role, is, you know, I'm more interested in defining the complexity of the place as opposed to recognise any specific politics in relation to the place, because it's loaded with politics, and I think we're all aware of the politics that take place there. I think it's a great tradition in Australian art to, you know, for artists' engagement with landscape and the outback. I think the mythology that surrounds that, the way that landscape has become such a part of our psyche, or it's been programmed to be part of our psyche, for many different reasons, quite often political. But I was really interested in, you know, I guess it's a natural progression for a site-based artist to try and work more directly with the natural environment. So this was an opportunity. And, you know, I think Earth and the land and the landscape is, you know, I guess to think about those in contemporary terms, you know, I see this work as really a contemporary landscape work. It's about now, and it's about circumstances which are, you know, affecting all of us at this point in time in history. So I guess for all those reasons, you know, I became really interested, and I have spent the time and worked and experimented with the landscape, and you know, it's a challenging space to come up with something which is relative and new. I guess the history of landscape in art has once again a very dominant sort of agenda. So, you know, to try and create spatial work, which is not about the objects themselves, it's about the experience of the art and experience of landscape, is something I tried to explore in this work. And I think that is different to a lot of the impressions we see of artists' work, of their relationship or experience of the landscape.